Hey guys, Crypto Vatsik here. Thank you for joining. I'm going to give an update today in this video on Bitcoin, my thoughts on what we've seen recently in the market, a little bit on altcoins, and where I think we're headed in the next 6 to 12 months. There's a lot of debate right now in the market, a lot of contention between where we're headed in the near future and overall. So I just wanted to provide my thoughts, give some different theses on where I'd be looking to enter and some different scenarios that I see right now playing out. So um, please follow me on Twitter. My handle is at CryptoVatsik. Um, Follow me on YouTube for more updates. I'll be providing more videos in the near future, and make sure to keep you all up to date. Again, this is all my opinion only. None of what you're about to see is considered financial advice. Okay. So some things that I'm noticing people discuss right now um, are how far down are we headed before we head back up. So obviously we've seen quite the correction so far on Bitcoin. This is the Bitcoin USD chart on Bitstamp. Um, and keep in mind this is the logarithmic chart. And a lot of people talk about the 200 weekly moving average being tapped. We've seen that in previous bear markets. It's been respected quite nicely, and it's usually marked a pretty significant bottom. So that's one argument is that we'll come down here and enter this 200 weekly moving average territory around anywhere from 25,000 down to 22,000 would be my key level of interest. In other words, my first buy zone. So, I think it's fair to say that this is in play at this point, given the downtrend that we've had right now and the way the candles are looking at the moment. Um, and I think it's a fair argument. So it would definitely be an area of interest for me. This is where I'll be dollar cost averaging in, but then I'll be waiting to see how it reacts to this moving average afterwards, before putting in any further long positions. The second argument is that we will come back down to the previous cycle's all-time high of 20,000 and retest that. And it's definitely a level of interest for me. I didn't expect us to come down this far so quickly, but I think it's in play at this point. We've got to consider all options. I have marked it out here. This would be a secondary buy zone for myself. Um, but the only issue I have with this at the moment is the fact that we'd have to dip quite down below the 200 weekly moving average. Um, we have done that before. We saw in 2020 of March, the COVID crash. We came down quite far. We retested this logarithmic trend line here quite nicely, but I think that it would probably have to take another black swan event or something unforeseen in the market to make us come down that far. You could argue, the war or inflation, COVID, whatever you want is the reason. But for me, I think it would have to be something new to bring us down that much at this point. Again, we've got lots of areas of support in here, so um, just with some trend lines. Reason being, this trend line here, this black swan event, I kind of consider to be an outlier. It recovered quite quickly and then kept respecting this trend line. So, it might look like it broke it here, but it was very temporary. Whereas what we're seeing right now is not very temporary. I mean, this is a bear market structure for sure. So I could see us, coming into either scenario of either buy zone at this point. Um, I'm leaning towards the first buy zone being tapped at the 200 weekly moving average, and then us going through a period of consolidation before moving back up to the upside. And you can see right now that we have broken this previous trend line that I drew here. We broke through it, we wicked down, it closed actually above it, but then again broke through right after and just recently retested it as resistance now. So we can expect this as our new resistance and to come back further down to at least fill this wick here that we had on May 9th, 2022. Um, and then it kind of creates this little channel that we've got here. But again, there's support of the previous all-time high in 2018 at 20,000 here, or it's a psychological point for people. It respected it here in November, December 2020. So you could say that's significant support. But also we've got the 200 weekly moving average here as support. So lots of areas in here for confluence to keep in mind at this point. We just haven't seen, in my opinion, we haven't seen that blow off the top yet. We haven't seen the parabolic move that Bitcoin is known for. You can see in previous markets, we got lots of extending trend lines that come up, and it's an extended parabolic blow off the top, and then um, your extended bear market afterwards. So we haven't seen that yet, in my opinion. It's still to come. So just how do we break down this price action that we're seeing right now? So got a couple other ways of looking at it that I'll show you in a second. Okay, guys, so this is the Bitcoin USD chart again. So basically, the argument that people had recently, and shout out to Credible Crypto, for pointing this out, and he strongly believes, in the fact that this was not the major fifth wave that we had in terms of Elliott wave theory. So these are simple trend analysis tools that you can use. Elliott wave theory uses five waves to complete a cycle essentially, or the first wave of a major wave, so to speak. So within each wave, you'll get 5 waves up, and then an ABC correction downwards, and then again 5 waves up, sort of thing. So lots of information on there online that you can find out about this, but I won't get into it now. So the argument was, we saw our first major wave 1 impulse, corrective wave 2, up to wave 3, up here, sorry, and then our last major wave 5 up here in December. People are expecting the top to come to fruition basically in December. And one of the things that Credible Crypto talks about is the fact that he doesn't believe that this was our major blow off the top fifth wave, and it's still yet to come. And I definitely have to say I agree with this. Call it bullish bias, but there's a lot of technicals that support it. So the other thing he talked about was the fact that we could have been, saying that we were in a running flat correction here. So as I said, you got your ABC correction down, but these can take different forms. I think that is, that's been canceled out. It's broken out of this wedge now at this point. So I think the running flat is not in play, but I do still think that we're seeing some sort of ABC corrective structure here that will come to completion, right around here. That will complete our fourth wave, so the corrective wave, before we take off and complete our final fifth blow off the top wave. And so just to show you that again, the major argument was that we made our first wave here, second wave down, third wave up, and then fourth wave and fifth wave. And basically the argument is that we have topped out at 69,000 at our fifth wave, and now we are entering or have entered our extended bear market, and it's all over essentially. Credible Crypto again talks about this, and he talks about lengthening cycle theory, and essentially the fact that this structure doesn't make sense to him. And I must say that I really agree with this. I think that in all fairness, the running flat corrective structure is invalid at this point, but it doesn't change too much. Again, in the previous chart that I showed, we've got areas of confluence here with support coming down to the 200 weekly moving average, and then also the previous cycle peak at 20,000. So I think that we're still working potentially on this wave C correction, within the ABC correction to complete our final wave 4 before entering our 5th and final wave. I do think that there will be quite some time to get prepared for the 5th wave and have some accumulation here, build up before the final push. I don't see it completely V-shaped reversing like we saw in March 2020 with the COVID crash. Just the steady grind down um, just leads me to believe that this is kind of a mini bear market, if you will, and we're going to have this accumulation period before we go back up. And another thing I'll point out quickly is something I noticed with the Fibonacci levels, previous bear markets, bull markets, bear markets. So we saw in previous bull markets that Bitcoin likes to respect the 786 level in bear markets. So if you do essentially what is a full wave, full cycle, sorry, from bottom to top, you see that the full bear market bottomed not at the 786 percentile, but actually just below it, which is okay for me. If you have a key level of interest or buys below the 786, for me that works. So I mean, that's another argument that people think that we're coming lower, or an argument I could see people making is that we're going to come below this 786, and which would come pretty close to the 20,000 previous cycle top, and essentially marking our bottom before the 5th wave. So again, I think it's having your own bias in direction is fine, but don't forget other people have different biases than you, different arguments, and it's good to be open-minded and understand that all scenarios are possible. So that would bring us down to just below the 20,000 mark if we were to head to this 0.786 on the Fibonacci line level, and that would be quite low for me, in my opinion. I just my thesis doesn't agree with that at this point. But we have seen that also, um, in previous markets, that it comes down, it respects it, maybe as support temporarily, breaks below its resistance, and then eventually accumulates back up, impulse back up, and then you have your new bull market. Sorry. So it is something to consider. All right, I just wanted to thank everyone for taking the time to watch my video. Hopefully it's been helpful for you, and for you to make your own conclusion, your own analysis, and your own opinion of where we're headed. I'd love to hear from you as well. So please follow me on Twitter. I provide lots of daily information there, just thoughts, ideas, strategies, analysis as well. And of course, trying to grow the account. So would really appreciate the follow, and like and comment on my ideas. And if you disagree with something, I want to hear from you, and why. So the other thing is I've got a newsletter as well that I just got up and running. So you can go onto my Twitter, just click this link and type in your email, and be sure to stay updated as well, just on some of my analysis and updates there as well. So lots of good information in there. I think that goes a bit more into depth on some of the things that I talk about in this different scenarios and so forth, that I think would be valuable to you. Whether you're novice or expert, I think there's something there for everybody. Thanks again, everyone, for joining. Would really appreciate if you gave this video a like and comment what you thought. Looking for that feedback. So thank you in advance, and please don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel as well, CryptoVatsik. Thank you again, and we will see you soon.